and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on.
I'm awash with the stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of the UK's second-largest city.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're looking at a snapshot of village life, taken from a recent audio recording.
That's right. We've pulled out bits of conversations, snippets from this community, everything from shop talk to really personal stuff.
And our mission really is to unpack all these layers, see what insights we can find, what anxieties are bubbling up, maybe even some surprising ideas.
Exactly. It's a mix, isn't it? Multiple conversations overlapping, business ideas, family worries, personal histories, all kind of tangled together.
It gives you a real feel for the place, the dynamic, how people interact in a close-knit community.
Yeah, it's like holding up a mirror, isn't it? Seeing the complexity just under the surface of everyday life. So, should we jump in?
Let's do it. Okay, so where to start? A lot happens around the village shop, it seems. That felt like a major focus.
No, definitely. And specifically, collecting customer feedback. They were making a real push for it.
How were they doing that? The recording mentioned a few ways.
Yeah, they were handing out surveys, asking people after church to fill them in, leaving them in the shop.
And even just like noting down things people said.
Exactly. Jotting down verbal suggestions, very direct.
Yeah.
Seems like getting customer input was, well, a big priority right now.
And what kind of suggestions came up? Some are pretty straightforward retail things, weren't they?
Yeah, like more dog treats. That seemed popular.
Okay.
And someone wanted more types of peanut butter. Which, fair enough, they admitted might be a bit, niche.
Oh, maybe. But practical stuff.
But then you got asterisk suggestions.
Yeah.
Completely different direction.
Right, the DIY items.
Yeah. Bulbs, drill bits, screws, washers, super glue, that kind of thing.
Which immediately makes you think, well, is a village shop meant to be a hardware store too?
Exactly. It kind of pushes at the edges of what the shop is, Its identity.
And speaking of identity and strong opinions, the dogs. The debate about letting dogs inside the shop.
Oh, yes. That was definitely a point of friction we heard.
Joy and Ben seemed really keen, called it amazing.
Yeah, they had practical points too. Like, people get anxious tying dogs outside, worried about theft maybe.
And they thought it could bring in more customs, more business.
Makes sense. But Susan, totally against it.
Yeah, she was very clear. Didn't want pets inside, worried about cleaning, the hair.
And she seemed to think the anxiety about tying dogs up was a bit much. A bit precious was the word used, I think.
Yeah.
So people have always done it.
And the interesting thing is, despite Joy and Ben's points, Susan's view won out.
Completely. She just said dogs are just not happening. That was it. Decision made.
It really shows how, even in a community thing, one person's strong stance can, well, carry the day.
Yeah, based on their own priorities or concerns. But it's interesting why all this shop talk is happening now. There seems to be some external pressure.
Ah, the competition. Underwood's local, near the EV chargers?
That's the one. Described as smart, pretty shiny. Clearly a more modern setup.
And you can hear the worry, can't you? This feeling that the village shop needs to up our game.
Definitely. They need to compete. But how do you do that?
While still being a community-run village shop. That's the tension, isn't it?
Absolutely. Modernize, compete, but don't lose what makes you, well, you.
And it seems like that pressure from Underwood's is maybe speeding things up.
Seems like it. Because Susan says she's going to order some of Astra's DIY suggestions, the screws and bulbs and stuff.
Without waiting for the committee.
Exactly. The reason given. The committee takes too long. And this feels, quote, time critical.
Wow. So the fear of losing customers is actually changing how they make decisions, bypassing the usual process.
Yeah, that external threat is having a real internal impact. It's fascinating.
Okay, so moving away from the shop floor, the recording also caught some really, really personal moments. Heavy stuff.
Yeah, that conversation between Alice and Chris about their daughter, Martha, that was intense.
And it started with something relatively small, didn't it? Something the nursery observed about Martha's development.
Yeah, but for Alice, it wasn't small at all. It just seemed to trigger this massive spiral of anxiety and self-blame.
She immediately connected it to her drinking when she was pregnant.
Instantly. Convinced she'd done something to Martha. She was terrified. Martha had fetal alcohol syndrome, FAS. You could just hear the fear.
God, the weight of that guilt. And Chris, what was his reaction?
He was trying to be reassuring,
Yeah.
saying it was a massive leap, that he didn't think what the nursery said was that bad.
Pointing out that Martha seems fine, that they hadn't worried before.
Right. Trying to bring her back, sort of. But Alice wasn't really buying his reassurance.
No, she questioned it, didn't she? Like, does he really think Martha's okay? Or is he just scared what Alice might do?
Yeah, scared she might relapse, maybe. It's like her anxiety was twisting everything, even trust in him. So complex.
Paints a picture of someone really suffering inside, not sleeping, not eating, just constant worry.
Yeah, she says she feels like she's torturing herself. But she also feels like Chris just doesn't see the truth that seems so obvious to her.
It's heartbreaking. Did they decide on anything? A plan?
Well, yeah, Alice wants to see a doctor, which sounds like a really good step.
And Chris agreed.
Yeah, he agreed to call first thing tomorrow, get an appointment, and go with her. So they're taking action together.
That's something positive. But even so, that feeling she expressed, that Chris might hate her for what she thinks she's done to their daughter. Just devastating self-blame.
It really shows how things from the past, actions taken, could just fuel this overwhelming anxiety years later and affect everything, self-worth, relationships.
And then right in the middle of this incredibly raw, private moment, Alice's mom pops up asking about the shop's dog policy.
I know. It's such a jarring moment, isn't it? But so true to life. The everyday bumps right up against the profound struggles. Just, wow.
Okay, so we've had the shop dynamics, this deep personal anxiety, and then there was another conversation that felt different again. More about reflection, maybe. Redemption.
Ah, you mean Joy and Ben talking?
Yeah. Ben specifically went looking for Joy, didn't he? To thank her.
He did. And it was quite moving what he thanked her for. For thinking of me, he said. Remembering stuff about his dog, Bess.
And being a voice of sanity when he was going through a hard time.
Exactly. He mentioned a specific conversation they had on a bench somewhere that he called a turning point.
That's really powerful, isn't it? Someone actually saying, "You helped me change my path."
Yeah. And look at him now. He says he's nearly qualified as a nurse. Feels like his head is screwed on. Well, he added, sort of, which felt very real.
Huh, yeah. But he gives Joy huge credit, says she played a massive role.
Which is lovely. But what's interesting is how Ben's feeling of having come through something contrasts with Joy's current worries.
Right, because she's still carrying stuff.
Yeah.
About her daughter, Rochelle.
Yeah, feeling responsible somehow for Rochelle's actions may be linked to that abattoir incident, due to mistakes Joy feels she made when Rochelle was younger.
So Joy's nervous, worried someone might, confront her in the shop.
Seems like it. So while Ben's looking back gratefully, Joy's still wrestling with her past and her daughter's reputation. Maybe her own.
And Ben tries to reassure her, doesn't he?
He does. Says people can separate her from Rochelle, that Rochelle's a grown-up now. Tells Joy she needs to forgive herself.
It's almost like he's giving back some of that voice of sanity that she gave him, turning the tables a bit.
Exactly. And then he talks about his own future. Nursing,
Yeah, what areas was he interested in?
community care, maybe working with the elderly, or mental health support. It felt like choices coming from a place of understanding vulnerability. Maybe his own past struggles informed that.
Could be. He sounded quite humble about it, though.
Yeah, just that he thinks he'd be okay at it. Not necessarily brilliant, but motivated. Nice note of hope.
So pulling it all together, this one recording, these snippets of conversation, they paint such a rich picture.
Absolutely. It's not just one thing, is it? It's the practical stuff. Running the shop, dealing with competition.
Mixed right in with the really deep personal stuff, family anxieties, guilt, self-blame.
And then these moments of reflection. Looking back, thinking about the future, acknowledging how people impact each other.
They're not separate streams, it's all woven together, isn't it, in the day-to-day interactions.
Yeah, a chat about dog treats can happen right next to someone grappling with immense personal pain, or someone else finding redemption.
Yeah.
That's community life, I guess.
So what does this snapshot tell us then, for you, the listener?
Well, it really highlights how individual histories, family issues, past mistakes, even things like a new shop opening nearby, none of it exists in a vacuum.
It all feeds into the present, influences the decisions people make, the dynamics within the group, how they see themselves.
Yeah. And maybe it leaves us with a question to think about. How do all those personal stories, the regrets, the hopes, the anxieties people carry, How do they collectively shape the identity of a place like this?
Especially when that place is also feeling pressure from the outside, needing to adapt or compete. How does the internal landscape react to the external pressures? It's a lot to consider.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around again.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches.
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep, that's the ball bar.
This one.
Hayley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. So, due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. But, I mean, it would have been a stretch for him financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help him, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever